And good morning and welcome to your Tuesday. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne. I'm going to bring to you not quite the pain, but the stories, 8 of them, from things you might have heard for today, which are technically stories from yesterday. So get your morning start off on the good note with great news stories so you go into your day kind of knowing some stuff. And some of these things are well off the beaten path. Today is a lot of well off the beaten path stuff today, although we are covering the big stuff. And yes, Joe Biden is in the headlines, main headline of the day. So we'll get to him in just a moment. I want to remind you to go to our main website, only website. Well, the main website for this, many other websites for the projects, but this one, the Conversation Project, lives at this is a conversationproject.com. Find more details about what we do all day there at the Conversation Project and here on the internet. And of course, pledge drive time. See how you can help partner up with us for grand things to happen in the future. Just kind of go with me on this one. And it also saves a lot of time because I can stop talking about the Conversation Project and get into the news stories. 8 news stories that were curated by me, of course, vetted by you throughout the day. We'll explain that at the end of the headline process, if you will. Story number one: Blac Chyna deactivates $240 million OnlyFans account to set example for her children. Now, we do OnlyFans stories a lot because, let's be honest, you guys react to OnlyFans stories. And so this is one that's sort of the reverse. Normally, it's some person getting fired from some normal job because people find out they have an OnlyFans, just to find out that that person makes 3, 4, 10 times as much money at the old job. This one, Blac Chyna, an entertainer, is using OnlyFans not so much for the OnlyFans content, although there's maybe some risque stuff there. But essentially, it's one of the quickest ways, quickest cash registers to put online to get people to get your stuff and keep it secure. They're really good about that, mostly because of the risque content they have. During a recent interview, Chyna addressed many aspects of her life, including her newfound sobriety and avoiding haters on the internet. And one way she figured to do that was to get off the adult platform, as an example, to one, avoid haters, and two, show an example for her children that, sometimes things that are okay to do, not quite okay to do. Of course, she surprised many folks when she sued her former fiance, Rob Kardashian, and his family for $40 million because she claims she lost more than $60 million of future earnings from being around them, which I totally agree. But Blac Chyna going out, speaking out about this particularly the story headline on the OnlyFans account, but showing that she's a different person and that, stepping on the, we'll say, right side doesn't mean you lose any of your aspects, including any of that money. Let's move on to the next story we have going on, and that is this one right here. Missing Arkansas teen found dead in Mississippi National Forest with multiple gunshot wounds. Homicide investigation open. Yes, very grim, very long reading, but that's the story. Fredarius Wilson, 18, was found dead in the National Forest in Mississippi on Wednesday with multiple gunshot wounds. He was last seen in a McDonald's in West Memphis, Arkansas. Howell wrote on Facebook that his son, that's the father of Mr. Wilson, was on a date with a girl 3 times and is now missing. And Howell reported her son, her son missing after he told her he was going on a date and never came home. This is a disturbing story. Go to the link and read deeper into this one. This is one that hits a local here because you're in Arkansas. A guy lived in West Memphis, but now found in the National Forest. There is an investigation because this is a very odd way to find the person after being missing. And so questions must be answered, and we hope they were answered very soon. This is a story we teased yesterday. Michelle Yeoh swipes at Don Lemon's comments in Oscar speech. Michelle Yeoh won Best Actress starring in the film Everywhere, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I have trouble saying it, so that's why I butchered it yesterday. Everywhere, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Say that 3 times fast. I guess some people do. And of course, they also won Best Picture. They won a Best Supporting Actor. Won 7 out of 11 awards, something like that. Don Lemon had a little quip that got him, put on the bench for a few days, a few weeks ago, calling Nikki Haley out of her prime, as opposed to whatever the hell that actually meant. So Michelle Yeoh, you made sure that she let Don Lemon know that, she may be 60 years old and she may be coming to the twilight of her kung fu style career, but she is not quite in her prime. Don Lemon made no mention of it. which we actually said yesterday. No mention of it. Two correspondents, three correspondents over a couple hours talking about the Oscars. No mention. We talk about his ugly sweater. We're not talking about his ugly words. That's what we do at the CNN. President Joe Biden getting some work in. First off, he says taxpayer funds won't be used to bail out SVB, Signature Bank, calling things by this is what we do these days with SVB, Silicon Valley Bank, one of the banks that literally died over the weekend, or failed, should be said, because of over leverage. A lot of the money in those banks were in accounts that were uninsured, at least not by any sort of standards. With billions of dollars in the bank for SVB, and the federal government only highlighting and being taken care of 250,000. That's a lot of assets that weren't covered. And when some shady sort of talk went, and there was a run on some of these banks, they shut them down, and the government stepped in. Now they worked out a deal so that all funds will be covered, and Biden says they won't be using taxpayer funds. So it's not a bailout, even though it's a bailout. It totally is a bailout. What else did Biden do yesterday? Only did something else that looked something more like out of the Ron DeSantis playbook. Biden approves massive oil project in Alaska, but moves to further bar future drilling in Arctic Ocean. Joe Biden opened up the chance for drilling in federal lands in Alaska. Why? The Alaskans kind of need the jobs. The Alaskans kind of want the work. The Alaskans kind of want to be able to offer this up and work on things there, even though many environmentalists don't want any more drilling pretty much anywhere, especially on this protected land up in Alaska. Beautiful, pristine land. They're worried about wildlife, worried about oil spills, things like that. Meanwhile, many people in the native part of Alaska, people who live there, kind of want this because it means there are jobs. ConocoPhillips' Willow project is targeted for land within the National Petroleum Reserve, Alaska, a 23 million acre pristine area on the beautiful sea north. Beaufort Sea, it is beautiful, Beaufort Sea, north of the Arctic Circle. The project has been scaled back by about 40%, and the company has fortified 68,000 acres. Now, in the process, Biden is saying he's going to basically pull back on any future drilling up in the Arctic area. But for right now, this one is good to go, and we'll see what happens. The Stop Willow hashtag, of course, came about as a thing, and we'll see if they can hold this one back and for how long. One thing you can't hold back, Taylor Swift. And Glendale, Arizona is coming up with a pretty nifty way to celebrate the launch of her Eras Tour. They're changing her name temporarily, maybe temporarily, to Swift City. Glendale, Arizona is changing its name to Swift City to celebrate Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. The rebranding is temporary and symbolic. We'll see if people in Glendale realize that Swift City is better than Glendale. They'll see what happens with that. Glendale Mayor Jerry P. Weirs unveiled the name Swift City at a news conference on Monday and encouraged fans to share these smiles that could light up this whole town on social media platforms. Yay! Glendale teased renaming itself for Taylor Swift by saying it would take on a symbolic name on March 17th and 18th, and that's coming up as they kick it off, as they become, for a short time, unless paperwork gets in the way, Swift City. It's like you can change your profile on Facebook, but you forget to set it as a temporary, and you realize like 3 weeks later, you still got that freaky looking pug picture up there. It could happen. Let's move on to this story, and you need to actually click the link for this one to go deeper into detail. Now, everybody's talking about how people don't want to work these days, and you can see this in many examples of where you walk through your lives every single day, especially if you're going to restaurants. There's a lot of shortages in restaurants. We went to a restaurant, my wife and I went to a restaurant this last weekend that we used to go to pre-baby, so it's been a while since we were regulars, but at the time, it's basically, it supports a hotel because it's there in the hotel. But right now, all it does is support hotel guests. It really doesn't do very much for anything else. Not very good. They are short-staffed. Everybody was miserable, even us at the dinner. Well, here's a job posting for a server at a unique bar restaurant is going viral for its long and very specific menu of requirements. The applicant putting up, the posting putting up, the unnamed restaurant wants to avoid people who need nights off because their grandma poisoned them with their ham again, or who needs weekends off because their favorite roller derby teams are in the finals. Hire manager lists many unacceptable reasons to call out, including waking up in a good mood, being at a casino all night, ordering takeout that is late, locking yourself in the house by mistake, and having a headache after going to too many garage sales. So, other stories, other restaurants, other places where put up their responses to some of these things because right now people are not working and they're calling out for really bad reasons. It's not a joke at this point. It really is something wrong with the people in times and generations. It just seems like, and it seems like Joe Biden yelling at clouds, saying what's wrong with people not wanting to work. There are things where a lot of these jobs are really bad jobs, really crappy jobs, really jobs you don't really want to take. But at the same time, a lot of people seem to not have the integrity that you would think were instilled in those greatest generations that those people talk about when everybody did great things. Apparently, those generational values are not transferring, and it's probably because those generational values technically don't actually exist. We'll see. And finally, a group Blac, if you will, a Miami-based media company, is interested in buying BET. They are the third potential buyer of the network BET after Tyler Perry and Byron Allen. Not necessarily in that order, but after those two announced, Group Blac is in theirs as well. BET, of course, was launched back in 1980. Robert Johnson, and the channel specifically catered to African American audiences. It's things that I loved growing up on, things like Comic View, things like Rap City, things that were culturalized in the moment, and of course, a lot of videos, because videos were cheap at the time and played all the time. Right now, there is a reason for Paramount to sell the BET Media Group is because Paramount needs the money, and they're looking to sell it off to someone who will give them the money they want, and of course, maybe maintain the company. Maintain the company is secondary to give them the money that they want, of course. We got two of those. Maybe I forgot to click it. Maybe I just read it without clicking it. It's a Tuesday. Let's go to our teaser story for the morning. This is a story that we could talk about if you deem it necessary. You deem this possible. You deem this interesting. But that's what we did with Michelle Yeoh chatting up on Mr. Don Lemon. And today, or tomorrow, we may do it with this one. This headline: Trump blames Mike Pence for January 6th violence for not going along with the coup attempt. That makes a lot of sense, right? If you want to chat this one up on whatever idea you think about it, just go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Facebook.com/This Is a Conversation Project and Twitter.com/th_conversation, because the feeds are where we post these news stories every 15 minutes. A brand new news story headline is there with links that we want you to read because we want you to know what's going on. Plus, we want you to engage with them, like them, love them, hate them, share them. The more engagement you give to a story, the better chance we talk about it. For the rest of the week, we'll pick the 8 stories from the top 15 of the stories for today to present to you, and then you can complain about me picking the wrong stories later. That's what happens around here. So it is what it is, but you can't get your story in until you go there and pick it for yourself. Go engage with stories at our websites and at our feeds on Facebook and Twitter. Let's talk about money. Let's talk about finances. Let's talk about your finances, growing your money, and helping us out here. Go to thisisaconversationproject.com/Robinhood. Robinhood is the app where you can trade your stocks and your bonds and your crypto and your things like that. You can take control of your money and your investments, put them in your hand. Now, Robinhood has done a lot in the last year, and well, a lot since they've been incepted, but a lot in the last year to work on ways to shore up money and make sure that you are making some money, getting stuff on your returns, despite the market being low. Now, they're no longer really the stonks to the moon type place, and they're really not focusing that much on crypto, although they still have crypto. But they've done a bunch of innovations to get prepared for bigger things. So get yourselves in the know in your money and be prepared for things to turn, as various things are starting to turn. Check it out, and they also still give you a free stock for signing up. So check them out at thisisaconversationproject.com/Robinhood, because this is our affiliate link. We get a little bit back for you joining up with Robinhood today. Now today, let's talk about the Conversation Project again. This is our home home to the internet, as I like to say. Our internet home, this is the conversationproject.com, gives you details on all the things we do for the Conversation Project, a project, if you will, for gathering the best people in the world for conversations, bringing up topics and bringing up issues that are interesting, and a lot of OnlyFans as well, and getting people to see what their opinions are on this. Now, we need your help in some expansion. We're trying to gather about $200 more extra revenue per month ongoing, and we're using this month of March to pledge drive. If you deem something we have going on awesome and want to help us keep it awesome, go to our website, this is conversationproject.com, and click on the partnerships link. And you can find ways for yourself that are the best ways for you to partner with us. We're looking for continuous partnerships. We're not necessarily looking for a big windfall, but small windfalls that extend along the months are great. We have a account for recurring payments set up at Buy Me a Coffee, and we also have links for the Venmo and the Cash App, because we don't refuse money around here. So if you have it to give and you deem us worthy of the giving, we shall take it and do good things with it. Plans for hiring some staff and expanding some gear, and that's all in the works. We're just looking for that continuous income so we know we can keep it funded. Check us out at the Conversation Project's website and just the stuff we do at this is theconversationproject.com. It also allows us to have some fun at the end of the show. Time for the fun stuff. Today, things you might have heard start off with March 14th birthdays, and I'm ready to geek out now. Grace Park turning 49 years old today, of course, playing the Boomer Cylon back on Battlestar Galactica, spending some time on Hawaii Five-0, now currently starring in A Million Little Things, doing great work, turning 49 years old on today. Stephen Curry, one of them Curry boys, 35 years old on the day, plays a little basketball. I hear he's pretty good, and he's, eats subs a lot. 35 years old on this day today. And Simone Biles, America's current sweetheart, until someone else comes in and knocks her off, and then she becomes a cold and calculating old biddy out there looking to knock off the young ones. But probably not anytime soon, because she's still America's sweetheart. 26 years old on the day. She'll probably always be America's sweetheart. I guess Kathy Lee Ritton still technically America's sweetheart, although they don't put her on TV very much, which I guess how that works out. Oh, it's March the 14th, 3/14. That means it's Pi Day. Pi Day, everybody. Pi Day, Pi Day, Pi Day. 3.14, the mathematical, very shortened version of pi, played out in our calendar as 3/14, 2023, if you will. So go out there and celebrate Pi Day by selling all your worst math jokes and, of course, getting some actual pie. Let's do that. Pie is very much a thing for today. Today in history, 3 things that happened on this day back in 1964. A jury in Dallas, Texas found Jack Ruby guilty of killing Lee Harvey Oswald, the assassin of John F. Kennedy. This may seem like one of the weirdest things in the world, but a man decided he was going to assassinate John F. Kennedy, and then a man decided he was going to assassinate the guy who assassinated John F. Kennedy. That was Jack Ruby. More or less, people think it's all a super duper cover up to the super duper cover up. If you're history buffs, it's one of those conundrums that always keep you going. If you're just barely passing history, these are one of those things you have to kind of know to get through this, because it is a confusing thing. But John F. Kennedy, of course, assassinated by Lee Harvey Oswald, who was then assassinated by Jack Ruby. He was found guilty of the killing. In 2005, thieves broke into a storage hall in Stepford, Germany, and stole, get this, 200 fully loaded gumball machines. And in 2014, an Indian bride walked out of her wedding after the groom failed to solve a simple math problem. Because it's Pi Day, people. The woman relatives put the groom to the test after becoming concerned about his level of education. Obviously, he was not good enough and not smart enough for that woman. Congratulations, and hopefully the next one was much, much better. The next guy up in line was better than this loser right here. Let's move on to one more thing you might not have heard for today. Dealing with cats, who I hate. Cats are both feared and loved by their humans and the entire internet, mostly because of their bizarre behaviors. One of their favorite activities is knocking over every object in their field of view. A feline researcher says that while the behavior is definitely mysterious, scientists have some ideas about why cats love to shove our stuff off tables and shelves. I have an idea because they're evil. Cat researchers Michael Delgato explained, and this is a quote from a cat researcher. A lot of cats knock things over because they have learned it is a quick and easy way to get their humans' attention. They're evil. But it is also possible that cats' impulse to knock things over is just part of their hardwiring as hunters. Your cat's instincts tell her that paperweights or knickknacks could turn out to be a mouse. Her poking paw would send it scurrying, giving her a good game and possibly a good lunch. Or it could be evil and like to knock over your stuff, as stated at the beginning of this whole thing. So, research, whatever. Your cat is evil and he's looking to kill you. I'm just letting you know. Today is Pi Day, March the 14th, 2023, Tuesday also it is. Thank you so much for being a part of our show on the day, and thank you for putting up for bad jokes and evil cat taunts. I am glad to have you with us. If we are providing for you things that are of great interest and great value, we like your help. Go to thisistheconversationproject.com/partnerships and see if there's a way that we can work together to keep things going. In the meantime, make sure you're checking out our feeds. That's the most important thing. Go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter and just follow the stories, engage in stories, and give me something to talk about and make it harder for me to figure out which ones to talk about. Make it a fight to get the good stories in there. In the meantime, stay hydrated, stay limber and on task for all the grand things you are here to do. Let's have a great Tuesday. Get you some pie. Love you. Talk to you tomorrow.